My name is John Cabra, and I am an assistant professor at the department. And what you see on the screen here are three research agenda strands. And like Dr. Mayor Murdoch, I also have kind of an eclectic interest in different areas of research. The first one there has to do with creative collaboration using technology. And so I'll start off with a story, and then I'll get into the research agenda. And then for the second bullet point, you see research area around social style theory and Foresight. And then the third point will be, the impact of creative problem solving on self-confidence and self-esteem. So I'll start off with a story as well and go into the research agenda. So let me go with the first one, this creative collaboration via technology. A colleague of mine, who's also an alumni of our program, Diego Uribe, we were conducting a creative problem-solving session in Second Life, which is a three-dimensional virtual world. You can create avatars, and you can interact in this platform. Our client was IBM, so we had about 7 participants, clients and resource group members, and Diego's role was to manage the technology aspect of it. My role was to facilitate creative problem-solving. And as we were introducing, whether it was excursion, whether it was tools, etc., we had no idea that what we were doing was having some kind of effect. That is, if we introduced a tool, was the tool being embraced, or was it not being embraced? In short, by going or using these kinds of technology, we were going in there blind because I did not have, and Diego and I did not have social cues. What I mean is nonverbal communications to tell me that this person did not like that tool, or the group dynamics somehow is not working, and then therefore I need to redirect. And that is such essential skills for facilitators when working face-to-face. You need those nonverbal, those cues that you can pick up in a matter of seconds, microseconds, that can give you a signal that you need to make an adjustment, etc. So we also noticed that with another platform, another piece of technology called View, which is a concept mapping software program that you download for free. And so when we were doing another CPS session, this is a platform you can use whether it's remotely or people in the same room. But we were also getting cut on, we were flying blindly because we were not getting these social cues. So let me move into giving you, for those that are not familiar with Second Life or with View, let me show you some visuals. What you have here is the View concept mapping that was developed by Tufts University. You can download it for free. And how it works is you can input your ideas onto a digital post-it as you see up there, these boxes. And you can maneuver them, you can highlight, and you can cluster them. And you can you can do a lot of things with this platform. You can submit your ideas through your laptop, or you can submit your ideas through an iPhone. You can do it remotely. You can have it all, with the groups in the same room. Let me show you the next platform. Here, Diego was responsible for creating our Second Life presence, the center's presence within this virtual world. What you have here on the screen is virtual chairs. You see a conference room table. You see screens. And this is where we ran that creative problem-solving session with IBM. But again, we did not have the social cues in there. So now to the research agenda. Because when we were stuck saying, I don't know what's going on, we have no feedback, that led us to ask some questions. Then what can we do to somehow learn what are the cues, or what these cues look like within these kind of platforms? Number 2, can we embed some kind of technology that can give temporarily, at least for now, until the technology can eventually solve these problems? But for now, can we develop the technology so that we as facilitators, when we're using this kind of technology, we now have those social cues? That brings us to what I call artificial intelligence. Now, before I get to that artificial intelligence and the software program and the technology that's going to help us with this research agenda, this is another example of us interactively using Second Life. You have there a model that incorporates, the Foresight styles. And we would have the avatars move to the left, to the right of the continuum, and then forward or backwards. And doing this interactive activity, you can kind of get a group profile using an aerial view of your, your Second Life tools, sort of like a group profile there in that screen. At any rate, so again, you're getting cut off. You don't know if these people are enjoying this activity. All right, so now taking that story, let me get into these measurement tools. We're working with Carnegie Mellon, and the guy I'm working with is the director of the Human Sensing Lab under it's in this institute, Robotics Institute, and he works with artificial intelligence. And what he's done is created tools that can help measure what they call biometrics. One's, are they sweating? Are they anxious? Is the heartbeat rate going up, etc. And they also have worked with software program that can take that kind of information along with another kind of technology called facial expression recognition. They've been able to develop algorithms that can, at a high rate of accuracy, detect one's emotions, such as a small set of emotions like joy, anger, what have you. So we're wondering if this kind of technology can give us the information that could provide us those social cues. So let me show you how this technology works. I'm going to show you here one piece. And what you have here, and you just look at the screen, you have here a camera work taking video of one's activity. You have here on this box here measurements around one's skin temperature, energy level, all these other kinds of biometric. So you also have here what we call a GPS system as well if you wanted to track that information. And you see here the different activities. So this information, this kind of technology, we're wondering if it can give us the kinds of cues that can help us determine whether what someone's doing in Second Life in review is actually working in terms of our facilitation efforts. Let me show you another technology. What you see here on the right, there are different data points on someone's face. And they use those data points to create algorithms that can detect one's emotions, such as anger, happiness, whatever. Now I'm going to show you how the software program works using this video. Oops. You see the box there that actually starts to track this person's face. You see the box on the right. For example, here, this bar chart shows neutrality. This one shows anger, disagreement, sadness, joy, etc. We want to know whether we, for example, in Second Life, or when people are using View, whether somehow we can use these algorithms to identify things like social intelligence when one is being empathic. We want to know, I'm curious to see, do clarifiers exhibit or demonstrate certain kinds of algorithms? What about implementers? What about ideators, etc.? And then with the other software program where it starts to track people, we're wondering if we can actually identify certain kinds of activities. So again, our research agenda is, can we embed this technology as a way of providing us some social cues? And we're also wondering if we can also identify certain kinds of algorithms that can help a facilitator be more effective in that venue. All right. Now, let me move into another story here with regard to social style theory and self-esteem. When I started at Fisher-Price Toys, when I started my job, there was a lot of anxiety, there was a lot of orientation, and so I remembered in terms of problem solving, there was some certain challenges. So in terms of my self-confidence, I was wondering if although I have my cognitive style around Foresight, I was wondering if my self-confidence somehow was getting impacted by this new orientation at this company. So I'm actually going to show you two Foresight pictures here, or results. What I'm thinking, when you look at someone's Foresight on the left there, if someone's profile or cognitive style preferences, the indicators are way on top, when I'm seeing that, I'm seeing that one's confidence level is high in terms of their approach to problem solving. When one's is low, perhaps their confidence level in terms of approaching problem solving may be low because they're now into a new job and they're learning. I'm curious, when you're taking a student population, for example, that comprise at-risk students, and you measure their self-confidence, and say you use a measure like self-esteem, a global self-esteem measure, I'm wondering if someone's who scores low on self-esteem, and you have them take Foresight, will their scores go up if they go through one semester of creative problem solving? So I suspect that what you see here on the right it might move up and shift up to what you see on the left-hand side. So that's another thing I'm curious about with regard to Foresight and using global self-esteem and other kinds of measures. Let me go back to this social style theory. I'll tell you another story. I used to work at the airport for an airline called American Airlines. And one of the things I noticed that when people were upset at me, or one of my agents that reported to me, I started grabbing social style theory, and I started noticing, hey, this person that's upset, and the way this person's coming across might sound like a clarifier, because the way this person's asking questions and the way they're trying to get understanding, they might be indicating this sort of cognitive style. So I started seeing these themes. So I was curious to see if somehow judges could independently look at letters, complaint letters, because people are upset. They're writing their complaints in letter. I'm wondering if judges can independently identify when a letter was written by a clarifier, when a letter was written by an ideator, when a letter was written by a developer, etc. So let me show you a link that shows you some results that we were able to get. In this picture here, or in this slide here, this is a letter that our judges, when judging letters independently, they judge this letter as being one that was written by an ideator. The 99 you see up there, the .99, is a reliability score that we can use for qualitative data. And one of the things that we noticed in this letter is that when this person wrote, when you look and you comb through the details of the letter, this person, you didn't know quite what problem to start with first, because they had this problem, they had this problem, they had this one here, you had a little sarcasm here. It was like a mind map, and you quite didn't know how to approach in your response to that. So that's what we noticed in terms of themes and patterns when people were really angry in the letters. This letter here is an implementer. But you notice here that one thing that jumped out on us for this letter, it was a lot of verbs, a lot of action words, and it was straight to the point. It didn't take long for them to get to the point. It's like, look, we confirmed, we delayed the change, the rent cost this, we requested, they denied, I'm never traveling again. Boom, straight to the point, a lot of action words. This one is a clarifier letter. I only took pieces of it because it was like three pages in this letter. And one of the things that we noticed is there was structure. You see there, point 1, point 2, point 3. We also notice the same structure being used and the same kind of length for a developer letter. So I'm just taking pieces of that developer letter. What struck me about these two letters in terms of looking for the differences is that when a clarifier wrote a letter, complaint letter, using structure, the focus was to expose. In other words, they were saying, look what your company's doing. They're violating this rule. Here's let me just go back to that because this is really interesting. You'll see here things like there was a rule regulation violation, and they kept saying rules. You didn't honor this, and you didn't do this, and you didn't do that, and here's rules, here's your manual, here. They kept mentioning rules, and here's the data. At the end, what they're trying to say is, look what your company's doing. They're exposing this problem. The developer, however, when they use structure, and this kind of outline, what they were trying to do is using structure and information to build a case so that they can request this kind of remedy. I want frequent flyer miles, or I want free tickets, and here's the case I've built, almost as if it were a lawyer, using structure to state their case. So using judges, we were able to independently, judges doing independent work, be able to identify these kind of letters. So another thing I'm curious about, and Dr. Puccio mentioned this idea, is can you get people to take Foresight measure, and then give them a scenario, and then have them write complaint letters in response to that scenario. So that's another thing that I'm curious about, to see if this confirms or supports some of the work that we found through these complaint letters. So these are real complaint letters. We got them from the Department of Transportation. So that's my research agenda.